Hello and welcome to the Miskatonic Playhouse. I am XPLovecat and I'm so excited to be serving as the guest role of Keeper for the scenario Loom and Lucidity. This scenario is part of a collection of Regency scenarios written by SR Sellens called Host and Hostility. And all three of these in the collection are intended to be played one-on-one. And today I'm joined with T.A. Newman. Welcome.
Hello, thank you very much, XPLovecat. I'm very excited to be here. Very excited to be an investigator under you. This is really cool, really exciting. And finally, once this is recorded, I can properly go through Stu's book, the Host and Hostility book, and look through it because I've got my copy on the shelf waiting. But now, after this game, which I'm really excited to play, I can actually start leafing through it and see the wonderful work that's in there in more detail. So very excited.
Awesome. Yeah, you'll have a great time looking through the book because it's really well written and lots of cool things to look at. So that's awesome. Do you want to share a little bit about who you're going to be playing today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am playing Georgiana Dillwyn, who is from Wales. She is from Newport. So I'll be attempting a Welsh accent, the keyword being their attempt. Georgiana is she's quite the intellectual. Her fortress of solitude is her library. She's very much her father's little girl, and she's learnt to appreciate the power of intellect from him. So it's something that she very much engages with herself, and she might be seen as being a bit reserved or perhaps a bit separate and observant, but actually when you get her talking about something that she's interested in, it's difficult to stop her from talking.
Excellent. So just a little bit about the setting here. We are starting in September of 1812 in Brighton, England, and we're nearing the end of the social season. So Georgiana, this is your first season out in society, and your parents have encouraged you to attempt to find a husband, hopefully this season, but they want it to be a good match. So we'll see if you end up finding someone that works out well for you this season. To that end, you've been sent to Brighton as a guest of your family friends, Mr. and Mrs. Hampton. So that's where we're opening the scenario today. You are at the House of the Hamptons. It's about mid-morning. Is there anything that you're up to right now?
Well, I think I'd probably be in the Hamptons library having a little look at the books and, just seeing what their studies and intellectual treasures are.
You spend a decent amount of time in the library, and then you hear the front door. Would you like to stay in the library or investigate who might be at the door?
Well, since I am not at home, I think I might pop my head out and just have a little look, take the book with me. Yeah, have a little look, I think.
So what you see is someone delivering an envelope to the member of the staff, and they are delivering it to Mrs. Hampton. Mrs. Hampton, she's a little bit of a larger woman, but she always has her hair done beautifully. No matter where she is, what time of day, her hair is always on point. And today she has a nice rose that looks fresh on her dress. So she receives this invitation and opens it. She squeals for a moment as she gives you this invitation that Captain King has requested the pleasure of your company at Mr. and Mrs. John Hampton and Miss Georgiana Dillwyn at their upcoming soiree in Finchester Crescent, Moorfield, this Saturday. For your information, today is Thursday, so you'll have a couple of days before you have to make the journey to London, which is where the soiree is taking place. Mrs. Hampton, after she hands you this invitation, she squeals again and she's like, I'm so excited, dear. This could be your opportunity to meet with that Captain King again. Remember last week when you had that dance with him? I think he may have been a little bit smitten. Oh, you have been playing your pianoforte, right? He might appreciate you putting on some sort of performance this weekend at the soiree. No, would that be nice?
Oh, well, I think if the captain would me to play a little bit of the ivories? I don't see why not.
Yes, I think that would be excellent. Excellent. This is just fantastic. I'm sure you'll meet some other people there that might catch your eye too. I'm just so happy you're here and that we can go to another soiree.
If it's to see the captain, I'm very excited as well. He's he's a lovely gentleman, and thank you. You've done so much for me, Mrs. Hampton.
Of course. Anything for you. Now you must pick out your finest evening gown. You must make sure, and also perhaps some accessories to go with it. Yeah, that might be nice.
Okay, of course.
Well, do let me know if you need any help, and I'll check in on you too, just to make sure you're ready for the weekend.
Thank you. When Mrs. Hampton would we be looking to leave?
Saturday morning. The journey takes, I believe, about Mr. Hampton, 7 hours. Is that what it takes to get to London? Yes, dear. Yes, it takes about 7 hours. We will be fine. Yes, 7 hours. So that we will leave early on Saturday.
Well, I better make sure I pull out a good little book or something as well for the ride then.
I mean, if you must, yeah, that is fine. We can always just have polite conversation too.
I thought maybe to read aloud so we could all read it together.
Hey, yes, that would be fine.
I think she totally just doesn't get the no, we could spend time gossiping.
Right, exactly. And Georgiana, don't forget you promised us a turn around the Pavilion Gardens tomorrow. We must make sure we do that as well.
Of course.
It's even more important that I know who's promenading with whom before we go this weekend.
Is there, when you say about who's promenading with who, is there anybody within Georgiana's kind of mind that she knows to look out for, to avoid? Is there anybody that she knows probably will also be going to the Captain King's party in London?
Good question. So, what you do know is Mrs. Pemberton. She is a lady who is a very large gossip. And so it's usually best to avoid her unless you want to get tangled up into something that might not be true. And you would expect her to be there this weekend as well. Otherwise, you might be looking out for either Eleanor Mortimer or Harriet Fenchurch. And these are both ladies who you've come to know pretty well over the season and have developed friendships with. So they may be there as well.
Excellent.
I'm going to share the map of Brighton with you and see if there's anything you would like to do for the rest of your day.
Thank you, did you say that this was one of the last balls of the season?
Yes, so the last major ball happened last week, and the rest of the season is going to be more soiree, a little bit lower key, events to close out the rest of the season.
I think, if it's okay, Georgiana would probably like to go shopping for a new dress and those accessories. That Mrs. Hampton talked about, just making sure that when she turns up to the Captain King's ball, she really wants to stand out. She almost wants to get colors that she knows that he wears as well. So she's really going for it with the kind of the visual. Okay,
excellent. So there is both the Modiste, which would be a good place to look at the latest fabrics, somewhere where you could talk to Madam about dresses. There's also the Milliners, which is known for their hats and probably has some additional accessories.
I think it's probably the Modiste first.
Okay, excellent.
Then the Milliners, then tea, then a walk, then more tea.
Definitely. I'm sure Mrs. Hampton would love to have tea with you.
Yes.
Okay.
And absolutely have invited Mrs. Hampton as well, obviously, in terms of chaperoning and taking around Brighton.
Yes, that is excellent. And she is very excited for that. She goes back into her room. She needs to tidy up. She'll be just a few minutes, really quick. I'll meet you out here. About 45 minutes goes by.
Mm.
And she comes out again. She's wearing a different dress, but has placed the flower back on this new dress. She's like, okay, I'm quite ready now.
Oh, excellent. Mrs. Hampton, your flower there is looking very lovely. Did you say it was a red rose earlier?
Yes, red rose.
Your red rose there is looking very lovely there.
Well, thank you. I like to keep some freshness on me at all times. It lightens me and gives me happiness.
Well, it's absolutely wonderful. Is that a little clip in there from Mr. Hampton, is it?
Yes. How did you know?
Oh, he's a good man, isn't he?
That's right. Yes, dear. I'm glad you like it. Okay, so Mrs. Hampton, she leads the way, walking quite briskly. She just seems to have a lot of pep in her step, ready to go. And you walk into the modiste. She approaches the woman who has a measuring tape in her hand. Madam Gilbert, how are you doing today? And Madam Gilbert turns and, oh, hello, Mrs. Hampton, welcome. And Georgiana, welcome in. I've seen you a few times this season. How are you both doing?
Oh, very good. Thank you very much, Madam Gilbert. We're here on a bit of a fashion mission.
Well, you came to the right place. How can I help you?
Well, we've been invited, see, to the Captain King's ball that is in London.
You both were invited. I mean that's wonderful. Don't get me wrong, that's wonderful. I was just a bit surprised because the guest list seemed from the gossip I was hearing was just a very small guest list. So that's wonderful that you were invited.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, we are good friends, and well, you're making me blush there, Madam Gilbert.
Good friends. Okay. Well, we must get you a nice dress then.
We must. I was going to ask you, the Captain King's colours. Is it something you think you could match my dress to?
Oh, well, that is such a fantastic idea. I seem to recall that the captain was wearing blue. Let me see what fabrics I have. I'm sure I could make something on a rush for the right price, of course. And she kind of turns towards Mrs. Hampton. And Mrs. Hampton said, oh, well, don't you worry about that. We just need the best dress possible. We will take care of it.
Absolute hustler.
And Madame Gilbert, she goes to the back and you can hear rustling of some fabrics, and then she comes out with two options. One is a darker blue, one is hinting more on the teal side, and she goes, well, you know, with being a naval captain, he might appreciate the more teal colors, but I think this darker blue was closer to what he was wearing last week. What would be your preference?
Oh, well, I mean, I don't want to seem too forward now, do I? And turn up wearing exactly his, I don't want to match in uniform or naval hat. So maybe if you think he'd appreciate the teal, perhaps we go with teal.
Yes, I think that's a great idea. Mrs. Hampton is, yes, I totally agree. That's wonderful. Oh, sorry, I'm just getting a little excited.
I think Georgiana would take a second if any measurements are being taken or if she's showing fabric, and she'll firstly, is there anybody else in the modiste?
No one else in the modiste currently.
Then I'll ask Madam Gilbert, just Madam Gilbert, you said that it was a small gathering at Captain King's. Is it gossip? Is it that it's only a small gathering?
Well, I of course don't know the full list, but let's just say I've heard some people that would have expected invitations didn't get some, and I also heard the Prime Minister, Lord Liverpool, was invited. And seems to me it might be only the finest members of the Ton that will be there this weekend.
Well, feel very honored now. I'm very excited.
Yes, it will be an excellent opportunity, I'm sure.
Do you know if not that you know, but maybe you do. They might have been in chatting and that. My friends Eleanor, Mortimer, and Harriet French Church. You don't know if they're going, do you?
I haven't heard their names come up, so of course I don't know everything, but I would imagine they won't be there this weekend.
You don't think Mrs. Pemberton's going, do you?
Um,
That's all gossip.
well, as I'm sure you know, it's a little bit hard to tell what's true and what's not true when it comes to Mrs. Pemberton, but I have heard that she received an invitation.
Oh, it'll be a pleasure to see her then. I was hoping she'd be going. That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. She's not
Yes,
telling the truth.
yes, what wonderful indeed. So the madam, she finishes making all the measurements and she just tells you, you know, when exactly do you need this by? When are you leaving?
We're going Saturday morning.
Excellent. I believe I can have this done for you tomorrow evening. We can have it delivered to your home as well, if that's okay with you, Mrs. Hampton. Yes, yes, of course. Please have it delivered. That would be excellent.
Madame Gilbert, do you mind if I just take a little fabric sample? We might be going over to the milliner's.
Oh, of course. That's very excellent here. She cuts out a little sample for you.
That's grand. Thank you very much. Georgiana, just that's the best she's got in politeness. She just says, thank you very much. And then she kind of turns, probably with Mrs. Hampton saying a million thank yous in the background.
Yes. A million as she hands over quite a lot of cash.
Yeah, yeah.
Mrs. Hampton, she turns to you and says, off to find accessories? Is that where you'd like to head next?
Well, if you're happy to, Mrs. Hampton, I just I think it would be fitting, would it not?
Absolutely. So you walk to the milliner's, which is actually pretty close by.
I'm kind of, if it's all right, I'm kind of keeping an eye out for either my friends or anybody I know, really, either to avoid or to go and tell them the news and see if I can wheedle out any more information about this small gathering this party's supposed to be.
Okay, excellent. Yep, so on your way to the milliner's, you do see Eleanor, your friend. She's walking the opposite direction from you, so she doesn't see you, but you notice her from the back.
Now, in a lovely, nice, gentle way, would it be right in Regency England to call out for one's friend? Probably,
I would think,
as long as it's
yeah.
not like a yobbish "Oi, Eleanor." So probably like yeah, I might take a couple of quick steps, but nothing else, and then just Eleanor,
Yes.
it's Georgiana.
So she does turn as she hears you, and then she's like, "Oh, hello, hello," and she makes her way over to you. I didn't expect you to see you out today. I figured you'd be poring over your books.
Well, I was this morning, and then well, Mrs. Hampton and Mr. Hampton and myself, we got ourselves a little invitation.
An invitation? Where?
Well, it looks like we're going to Captain King's ball in London on Saturday evening.
Are you really?
We are indeed.
Well, isn't that just what wonderful news? Oh my goodness. I can't help. I believe that was the man that you were dancing with last week. Although I figured that you were dancing with quite a few while you were there, but for some reason the captain was one that stuck out in my mind.
Mine too.
Well, that's so excellent that you'll be there.
Did I like the captain when we were dancing last weekend? Was he one of the gentlemen that I was fond of?
Yeah, you had polite conversation. It was a relatively quick dance, but he was quite the gentleman, so there wasn't anything that stuck out to you as a negative from the interaction.
Perfect. Eleanor, are you going?
Oh no, no.
Captain King's.
I'm not going. I mean, I suppose if I received an invitation, I would go, but no, I have not been invited this weekend.
The modiste, Madame Gilbert, she seemed to think it was supposed to be a well, a small gathering. Is that what you've heard?
I have heard that. That's why I'm a little bit surprised that you all were invited, but it's very exciting.
Oh, well, I won't take offense at that. There's people not invited me to small gatherings. Am I not worthy?
Oh, you of course you're worthy. I'm just surprised that they would they would anticipate you'd like to make the trip up to London. That's quite a trip as well for the end of the season.
Well, it is, but, well, like we said, Captain King's, you'd be worth the trip.
I hope that it works out very well for you.
Thank you.
And she give me a spot hidden.
Okie dokie. A success of 59 under 75.
She does a motion with her hand very discreetly that is like one of money, rubbing money together when she says, I hope this works out for you.
I see. Well, not that I'm looking for anything in particular, Eleanor, but yes, I hope it works out for me too. And it's a bit of a smile on my face. Is just going to say that. Do I get? I'm just generally asking about Captain King and the ball. Do I get any other particular vibe off her? Do I get any? She doesn't look concerned about anything, or
Roll psychology.
okie dokie. Oh, how much luck do I have? I haven't rolled luck. I need to roll my luck. I rolled 19 over 10.
Okay.
But I will, if it's okay, just quickly roll my luck.
Oh, yes, of course.
But I do this every single game I play it. So nothing new here. So 3d6. Okay, not too bad. So I'm just reminding myself 3d6 times 5 for luck, isn't it? So that's 70.
Excellent.
Wow. Then I'm with this being a one shot, I'm going to spend some luck.
Excellent.
I'm spending 9 points of luck, because I'm going to the ball and I want to know what's going on.
Okay, so what you can sense from your friend Eleanor, she has a bit of jealousy, but it doesn't necessarily stem from the affections of the captain, as from previous conversations, you know that Eleanor isn't one that's super ready to get married. She's kind of accepted it's her role in society, but it's not the top of her list. So it's more of like she's a little bit surprised that the Hamptons were invited, a little bit jealous, but there's nothing in terms of concern for you going. It's just a little bit of like, oh, okay.
Okay. Then I tell her, I say, well, Elena, we are on our way to the milliner's. I hold up the little swatch of material I've got. Yes, I'm going to go and get some nice new hats and some accessories to go with my new dress.
Very good. Best of luck to you. And I can't wait to hear all about the soiree when you come back.
I look forward to it.
So you head over into the milliners, and there are a couple other people in here. No one in particular that stands out of people that you should avoid. Just customers looking at the different hat selections, which there are many hats to choose from here. And you are greeted by a man. He comes over and says, well, welcome to the shop. I'm Mr. Brand. I don't know if we've met before.
I don't think so.
Well, I'm so glad that you're here. We have a huge range of hats. We have some accessories, some belts, and different pendants that might be useful for you, whatever your needs may be. What brings you in?
Well, I'm looking for something to go with a new dress. I am, and I hold up the little swatch of teal material. Say, this is the dress color I'm going to be wearing, so it's got to be something that suits that, and something that really shows me off. It's getting to the end of the season, you see.
Yes. Okay, excellent. He takes the swatch from your hand and starts to go through the line of hats and matches the different hats to the swatch, and takes a very long time going back and forth between several different hats until landing on a couple and bringing them over to you, saying, these two would be my pick. Now, have a look around if you find anything else, or perhaps maybe you would want to both just to pick whichever one would be more beneficial for this look that you're putting together once you have your dress made. He hands you both of the hats, and just feel free to try them on and see what fit feels better for you.
So I'll try them on, and I'm kind of looking for the one that shows off my face more and perhaps isn't too tight around the neck. Something that's I don't know, seems very appropriate for the situation, but also I think she's very aware of her intellectual reputation.
Sure.
And she's trying to show that she's a little bit more than that, even if she might not be. That's what she's trying to show.
Okay, excellent. While you're trying on these hats and deciding between them, can you roll me listen, please?
Indeed. Oh, okay. 61 over 55. That's only 6 points of luck. Am I just going to spend all my luck in the shops? Yeah, I am. I need to hear what's going on here.
Okay.
I'm going to spend 6 points of luck. I'm going to have nothing left.
So you hear a couple of the women in the shop. They're talking a little bit quietly, but not in a way that's meant to be secretive. It's just more they're being polite in the shop and talking a little bit quieter. The topic of conversation is around Captain King and the soiree that they are putting on this weekend. There's some back and forth about renovations. So one of the ladies, she turns and says, yes, there's recently been carts of pipes and paneling being delivered over the past couple months, at least so I've heard. I wonder if the captain is preparing something extra special at their home this weekend. The other lady leans in and says, yes, I mean, I would expect Captain King to put on something spectacular, with his resources, shall we say.
How, so would it be, if I don't know these ladies, it would be incredibly wrong of me to just join in the conversation?
Likely, yes. That doesn't mean you can't do it.
No, true. I might turn to Mrs. Hampton, actually, and just quietly say, Mrs. Hampton, do you know these ladies over here? They're talking about Captain King. I thought maybe if you know them, we should introduce ourselves.
Oh my goodness, yes. I do know Miss Isabel Glossop. Miss Isabel Glossop there. Well, if they're talking about the captain, then we need to know, of course. And she kind of hurries over while you have the hats in your hand. She grabs you by the arm and shuffles over to where these two ladies are speaking. And she says, oh, Miss Isabel, hello. Have you met Georgiana here? She's staying with us for the season. And Isabel turns to you and says, oh, I've seen you around, but I haven't, I don't think we've formally met before.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure to meet you, Isabel, and I'm I'm very grateful for the acquaintance. That's a lovely dress you're wearing there.
Oh, thank you. It's nothing. It's an older dress, but I do love the color. It's like a lavender.
And then if I've got it back from the shop owner, I'll hold up the little material, the little swatch of the dress that we just bought, and say, I've just bought a dress in this teal color. I'm planning on wearing it at Captain King's ball this Saturday.
Miss Isabel, she turns to the other lady and they kind of giggle at each other for a minute. You're going to be at the captain's soiree.
I am. What are you giggling about now?
We're gonna be there too.
Are you? Oh, that's absolutely wonderful. And your name is? Sorry, who was the other?
And Mrs. Bell goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry. This is Miss Mary, my sister."
I am thrilled to be meeting you now, so that when we're in London, we can have a good old chat, can't we?
Absolutely. And they kind of turn to continue looking at the hats as they've included you in the circle, but they are going back to looking at their hats.
I'll kind of walk with them then if they're slowly walking through the shop.
Mhm.
And I suppose just say, so I've heard Captain King he likes to put on a good show with his parties and his balls. Is this something that you've experienced before, ladies?
Oh no, we haven't been to the captain's home before, but I have heard that it might be quite glamorous. You know that Captain King has a distinguished naval career. Imagine I imagine they showed great valor in battle. Don't you think, sister? Yes, I'm sure that Captain King showed great valor.
Oh, I'm sure he did. He seems a very valorous man. Um, but that's wonderful, I'm very excited that we'll get to spend some time with him on the Saturday.
Yes, it will be most wonderful. We look forward to seeing you.
You too now, you too.
The shop owner comes over to you and just is assisting. Do you need any other help? Did you find either of these hats to be of your liking?
I did. I think they're very pretty. Can I ask, uh, did either of those two buy one of these hats?
Oh, they're still looking, but I imagine they're not quite their style. They tend to prefer things that are a little bit more loud.
Mm,
And when you look at what the two girls are wearing, they do seem to have a particular style that is more extreme. They have a lot of accessories on, like they like to stand out. It's
yeah.
not quite the hats that owner picked out for you.
I very quietly say to Miss Hampton, do you think I should be getting something a bit louder, Miss Hampton?
Well, I think it's totally up to you, dear. This is yes, you should.
Then I'll turn to the shop owner and just say, these are lovely hats, but they're not quite loud enough for me. Would you mind getting me one of the hats that they would look at, please?
Oh, of course. And he takes both of the hats away. He picks out
And the matching accessories, please.
yes. He picks out a hat that has a lot of feathers.
Nice.
And it is a much larger hat than you would probably ever generally wear. But it's very well put together. Picks out a necklace as well to go with it that has some of the same colors in it and says, well, if you're looking for something that's really going to make you stand out, this will be the one.
This is absolutely perfect. You're a very good man. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for coming into the shop. It was excellent to meet you.
Likewise.
Mrs. Hampton seems very pleased by your decision.
Good, good. Sense this competition. Sharks in the water.
Yes, exactly. Mrs. Hampton turns to you. Should we rest for tea? I think we have everything that we'll need for this weekend.
I think that's a very good idea, Mrs. Hampton.
Okay. So you guys go back to your home, have some tea. Is there anything else you would like to do with your day?
I think I'd like to, if there's any reality to within the. Are we still in town, or are we back at the Hamptons' house?
You're back at the Hamptons' house.
So would there be any, I don't know, modern naval books? Is there any way that I could try and look at Captain King's endeavors within the Navy?
Absolutely. So I don't know if there would be anything related to records at the personal library of the Hamptons. They might have some books on the topic, but not recent information. So the best place, there is a bookbinders and a reading room in town. It's a smaller circulating library, and that might be a good place to find information.
Then that is where I would go, because I'm thinking about using my intellect to my advantages, whereas my loudly dressed friends wouldn't go away and try and learn a bit about Captain King.
So after tea, you head back to town to the library, and go ahead and roll me a library use, see what we can find.
Ooh. Success, 41 under 60.
Okay. So the information you find is a little bit what you've heard already, which is that he has a distinguished naval career. There's a couple facts that seem to be perhaps conflicting, though, about what specific ships that Captain King served on. The other thing that stands out to you is there's not any reference to Captain King in a newspaper or periodical before 1811. The year right now is 1812.
Is there any I suppose I'm pushing it now. Is there any reference to him, his schooling, his family before 1811?
Nope, nothing that you can find.
Yeah, I think if that's what I'm able to discover, I'll probably go back to the Hamptons house.
Okay. For dinner this evening, Mrs. Hampton just reminds you that early tomorrow they'd like to go to the gardens. And also, have you been practicing the pianoforte like we talked about?
After dinner, Mrs. Hampton, I was planning on getting some more practice in, and then maybe in the morning as well before we go to the gardens.
Well, that would be so wonderful. Yes. I just think that it would be great to show off your fine skills. I've heard you play many times, and it's quite beautiful. In the evening, if you would like to practice, I would love a pianoforte roll.
I would. Oh no, a 93 over 55.
So as you're practicing, Mrs. Hampton, she kind of peeks her head into the room, and she goes, is that a new song?
No, Mrs. Hampton, I just a few nerves, but I'm working through them.
Oh yes.
Best to keep going, and regardless of the tune, you know.
Well, yes, make sure to work through those, but you're doing great. And then she skitters away.
Yeah, I'm just mortified at the fact that I've been trying to play the piano, trying to play nicely, but it clearly just rings through the entire house. Just this horrific mash of keys and notes, and I think the panic, and also seeing those other girls, those fashionable, loud dressing girls. I know they're going to be there. They've the way they were giggling, they know something I don't know, and yeah, it's making me feel a bit nervous about the ball.
Yes. All right, excellent. If it's okay with you, we can go to the next day.
Yes, I would say the other thing, overnight, probably she's having a restless night, because if everything goes to plan and Captain King is wonderful and he's a gentleman and they hit it off, it's still quite worrying, because before last year there's nothing about him. There's no knowledge of him. That's, you know, is if he's landed gentry, if he's truly one of the ton, where's his heritage, where's his background? So that there's a bit of she's probably not even saying those words out loud or even thinking them consciously, because they would worry her even more. But there's that
Mhm.
that spinning subconscious worry there of something that she doesn't want to address because she knows it's going to scare her or perhaps even ruin things.
Yep, absolutely. So the next morning at breakfast, Mrs. Hampton, she looks refreshed. Today she has a daisy on her dress. She is talking quite excitedly to Mr. Hampton about her day today and going to the gardens, and Mr. Hampton is reading a newspaper.
Anything exciting happening in the world today, Mr. Hampton?
Oh, it's nothing too crazy, just the usual.
Ah, the usual. I bet. Mr. Hampton, do you know Captain King well?
He folds the newspaper down to give you more of his attention. Uh, Captain King, I just know he recently returned from sea. We've been hearing a lot of buzz about him over the season, but this is his first season back, so I personally don't know him very well.
You don't happen to know any about his parents or perhaps cousins or where the family is? Is he, are they all from London, the Kings?
Well, I would suppose so. I don't personally know any of his family members, but I would guess that they're from London.
Right. Good. Well, thank you, Mr. Hampton.
Mrs. Hampton chimes in and says, "Yes, and he's quite fashionable. I can't wait to see what he's done with the house."
Yes, it's very exciting. And I think she is excited about that purely because um it could be her house.
Maybe.
Maybe. Depends on the dice.
Right, exactly. Okay. Georgiana, are you ready to head towards the gardens?
Indeed. Excited and ready.
So as these gardens are extravagant. They're only open to members of the Ton. So you would mostly just see those members walking around promenading with potential matches. Of course, everyone having their chaperones. And you see Mrs. Hampton get quite excited as she is admiring lots of the plants walking around. She seems to really just enjoy being in this environment, as well as observing everyone together and who's with who. She giggles from time to time and is having a great day.
So I think in that observant manner, Georgiana's going to do the same as they're walking. She's just going to really keep her eye open to see who's with who, but also she's very acutely, I suppose, listening out for any mention of Captain King or the ball in London itself.
Okay. Let's do a spot hidden roll.
Oh, what's a failure?
Okay.
83 versus 75.
So you're walking around. You do hear the voice of Mrs. Pemberton. She seems to be close by.
Uh-oh. Although we could turn that fear into something positive. I might try and actually go towards Mrs. Pemberton rather than run away.
Okay. She's talking quite loudly with another member of the Ton who you don't recognize, and sees you start to approach her. So, oh, Georgiana, hello.
Mrs. Pemberton, how are you? Lovely to see you on this beautiful day.
Yes, it's so gorgeous out.
Who, may I ask, who you speaking to here? Who's your friend?
Oh, yes, this is Miss Mary.
Oh, is this Miss Mary from yesterday, or is this a new one?
New Miss Mary.
Rather than Mary Glossop, this is Mrs. Mary.
Duncan.
I see.
Miss Mary Duncan.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Mary Duncan.
Pleasure to meet you as well.
Miss Pemberton, are you a big fan of the gardens, are you?
Oh, yes, of course. There's always goings on to evaluate and see all the energy is very beautiful. And what are you up to?
Oh, just having a stroll with Mrs. Hampton, just stretching our legs and getting some air before this weekend, before the festivities this weekend
Oh,
in London.
the festivities. Are you referring to Captain King?
I am indeed.
Her eyes go super wide. Well, I will be there as well.
I had heard as much. I'm very excited that you're going to be there, Mrs. Pemberton.
She kind of turns to Miss Mary Duncan and has a look on her face like, wow, I can't believe that Georgiana was invited. Like you can tell very clearly that's her body language.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. Everybody's surprised that I get the invite. I'll say so, Mrs. Pemberton. I hope I'm not the only surprise that's at the ball for you. So, have you heard about anything else going on? Any of the excitement we might have in store for us?
Well, and she gets in close to you, but doesn't change the volume of her voice. Her voice is still quite loud, so it's just kind of ringing in your ear now. And she says, well, you know that this captain, he's planning to put on quite a show with all the renovations he's been doing in his home. I'm sure that you've heard all the comings and goings at his house, and I just can't wait to see what he's done.
I'm very excited. I've heard a little bit about these renovations that are going on. Something about the pipes, maybe, and some paneling. It
Oh,
all
I'm
sounds
sure.
very
I
exciting.
I don't know all that house talk, but yes, just exciting things going in and out of the house.
Oh, do you know any specifics? I don't want to ruin the surprise, but I'm also very excited, you see.
No, I don't know more than just the carts and barrels. Perhaps there might be excellent drink this weekend.
Oh, well, that is something that would be very exciting. Do you know? I mean, obviously you're going, so how do you know Captain King well? Do you?
Well, uh, roll psychology.
No way. 63 over 10.
um oh well, you know he's very wealthy and very expansive naval career. I'm sure that he's so happy to be back on land and and socializing for the season. I'm just glad that he's back.
Likewise, I'm very glad that he's back on land and he's safe and he seems to be happy and having a good time. Do you happen to know his family, Mrs. Pemberton?
I know some of his family.
Does she? I think she does, but I failed my psychology, so I don't know for sure, do I?
You do not.
Bugger. Okay.
See, you can tell she's not going into specifics. That is something
Yes.
quite obvious.
Let me think for a second. Is there any specific avenue I can take with Mrs. Pemberton that I haven't thought of yet? Okay. I'll ask her two other things. And one thing I'm going to ask her is about other guests. Is she aware of other guests, of who else might be going? And I think the other thing I'm going to bring up, and this is more of a pleasantries thing and just making it so it doesn't look like I'm just interrogating her, is talking to her about the dress that I've chosen, the color that I've chosen, and the hat with the feathers and the necklace and the just kind of going into the fashion details of the conversation, so she doesn't just feel that I'm coming and trying to squeeze her for information.
Okay, excellent. Roll me a fashion roll.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm using one luck. 21 Excellent. Versus 20. Fashion's not my thing, but when I get a chance to do it, I can't believe how much luck I've used, and we haven't even left Brighton.
So with that successful roll, you are able to make a good conversation with her about your dress and accessories, and she seems very engaged, interested in what you have to say. She also gives you some information about some of the guests that will be there. She states, I have heard it's a quite small list, but Lord Radcliffe will be there, the Viscount. Me, of course. Miss Mary, Miss Isabel. I do believe Miss Isabel caught the eye of the captain, so we'll see how that goes. Colonel Fiddlewick, I believe the colonel will be there, if I do remember correctly. Miss Mary, was there anyone else that you remember? She kind of is going through in her mind. I think the only one you've forgotten is Mr. Berkeley. Oh, Mr. Berkeley, yes, Mr. Berkeley will be there as well. I believe that's everyone. There might be some more trickling in that the captain knows of that I don't, but everyone from Brighton at least.
Well, that's a really exciting group of people to be celebrating with. So I thank you very much, Mrs. Pemberton, for informing me as to who might be going. That's very good of you, and I'm really excited to spend the weekend with you at Captain King's for the ball. I think it's going to be a wonderful time.
Yes, it will be a most wonderful time. Mr. Hampton, he is nearby. He comes a little bit closer to you and says, Georgiana, I would like to introduce you to someone, if you don't mind.
Of course, Mr. Hampton.
He takes you to a fellow who is very red-faced, a little bit short, has an ornate walking cane. And Mr. Hampton goes, this is Lord Cosgrove. We spend quite a bit of time together playing cards and socializing, and I thought it would be nice for you to meet.
It's an absolute pleasure to meet you, Lord Cosgrove. I've heard a lot about you, whether I have or not.
Sure.
I've heard a lot about you. It's an absolute pleasure to meet you.
Oh, it's a very nice pleasure to meet you as well. I've heard a lot about you, so I'm so glad we finally got to meet. Do you have any plans for this weekend? Are you doing anything?
I am, as a matter of fact, Lord Cosgrove. I'm going to Captain King's ball up in London, or down in London, or whichever direction it is in.
Up. Captain King. Oh my gosh, that's all anyone is ever talking about, is that damnable Captain King. That so-called captain is a charlatan, I say, a common rascal, and his voice starts to elevate, of the beset sort. I can tell you things about Captain King that will make your hair stand on end. For instance, and then
can I quiet him and just kind of say, go on, but quiet him down a little bit.
So he stops speaking mid-sentence, and you see his head jolt backwards as though being pulled by an invisible hand. His face turns a very bright pink, and you see his eyes start to bulge as he falls backwards, making a very large thump as he hits the ground. And I will need a sanity roll for seeing this man.
Oh my word.
This man fall over, presumably dead.
Presumably, I rolled a 5 versus 65, so an extreme success.
Okay.
Can I drop down to I know, to see if he's breathing?
Yes, you may. I will still have you take 1 sanity, despite your success.
Absolutely.
As this was quite traumatizing.
Unexpected.
So you do a quick examination just to see, is this person breathing? He is not. And it seems like there were blood vessels that have burst in his head.
Oh my word.
His face is now turning purple and has pulpy flesh and blood seeping from his eyes and nose and ears, and it's getting the worse the longer that you look at it. There's some chaos going on around you. There were a couple other people that observed this happening. Some of them are standing back, just kind of like not sure what to do. There's a couple people that have run towards you, kind of trying to help assess the situation as well.
Then it would be wrong for me as a lady to kneel down and try and give any kind of medical support to this the gentleman that I've only just met as well. It might be different if it was my father or a sibling or something. So I am going to I'm gonna really kind of look. I want to look around. I want to see if there's anybody that is watching this in a way. So my understanding is he was about to say something about Captain King, and it seems so coincidental, possibly some kind of stroke or extreme stroke or something like that, but it seems so coincidental. So I want to look around and see if anybody is not panicking or upset at this moment as I make my way over to Mrs. Hampton to kind of be by her side.
Okay, go ahead and roll me spot hidden.
Okay, come on, spot hidden. No! Okay, I'm going to use luck.
Okay.
I'm going to have no luck. This is a theme. Okay, so I rolled a 77 versus 55. So, oh my God, I've gone from 70 down to 52, and we haven't left Brighton. Oh dear. Okay. So just a success.
Okay, what you see is there is a man that seems to be lurking in the bushes a little bit of ways away. So he's not right up in the chaos of where you are, but kind of northwest of your direction. You do see a man that is in an odd placement. You would think he'd just be out and about on the standard walking path, but he seems to be in the bushes.
Do I recognize him, or is he a complete stranger?
Offhand, you don't recognize him. That being said, the distance that you are from him, if you were to get closer, you might end up recognizing this person, but from your current location, you don't know who this is.
In the little bit of chaos, can I begin to trot over?
Yes.
See if I can get a bit more clarity on who this might be.
Yep. As soon as this person notices that you're heading in his general direction, he turns and darts away, moving at a very quick pace.
Does he? Because obviously this is a very Ton-centric gardens. Does he look like he's dressed as a member of the Ton?
Looks a little scruffy, so it's not exactly that's the type of person that you would expect to see.
I think it's too early to rationalize full-on chasing after this gentleman. As much as I'd love to, I'm not sure as a lady in the Regency era, because there was no dagger, there was no gun. He just happened to be there, and he just happened to be looking out of place. He wasn't laughing and pointing or anything. He was just out of place, just in terms of being in the bush and his attire, and then scarpered. But then again, you know, if he's not truly a part of the Ton, maybe he's someone who works there, or maybe he's someone who snuck in. Maybe, you know, being there while something significantly horrible happens could be a very dangerous situation for him. So he might be completely innocent. I've decided he's completely innocent.
Okay, excellent. As you kind of make your way back to where everything's happening, you do overhear some conversation about, well, Georgiana was speaking to him when this all happened. I'm curious what occurred, and Mr. Hampton was there. And can you roll me reputation, please?
Oh dear, not my reputation. Oh no, I've rolled 80 versus 60.
And okay, that'll be a minus 1d6 on your reputation as rumors start to fly very quickly associating your name with this man's death.
God, I've lost 5 reputations, so my reputation
No.
goes to 55. Oh dear Lord.
And just a reminder, if you lose 1/5 of your starting reputation, to let me know.
So I go into a bout of reputation.
Yeah, censure.
Yeah. Oh no. Okay.
We're okay for now.
We're all right for now. I suppose at this moment I try and get back to Mr. and Mrs. Hampton as quickly as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mr. Hampton is waving a fan at Mrs. Hampton as she looks like she's about to pass out.
I'll go over and help as well and just kind of speak to her and flutter some air. It's okay, Mrs. Hampton. It's okay. Everything's okay. But perhaps we should go home.
Yes, yes. We've known Lord Cosgrove for quite a long time. Oh my. Okay, yes, let's go home. And she turns away from the situation and closes her eyes for a moment as she starts to walk in the direction of home.
I will just accompany her and Mr. Hampton.
Your walk home is quite silent as there's some grief and confusion and shock for both of the Hamptons.
I suppose not out in the street, not out in public. Would I say anything? Perhaps when we get home, I might very gently just say to Mr. Hampton after Mrs. Hampton has been sent to lie down or sit down or whatever. I might just find an opportunity. Mr. Hampton, do you think that well, it was all a bit strange, was it not, Mr. Hampton?
That death was absolutely very strange, and I've never seen anything like it, to be honest.
You and Mrs. Hampton, you've known Lord Cosgrove a long time, haven't you?
Yes, we often get together and play cards, and we've known him for years.
Did Lord Cosgrove speak ill of many people? He seemed like he was saying a few things there about Captain King.
He tends to have an opinion, but I don't recall him being quite so forward as he you're right, it was a little bit odd how he was so concerned about the captain, but you know, he does tend to have his opinions, or I suppose had his opinions.
You know why I think he said a few things about Captain King. He called him a rascal, and dare I say it, he called him a charlatan.
Yeah, I don't really know where that would have come from. I haven't heard anything like that about the captain, and I don't think Lord Cosgrove had close relations with the captain, but I suppose I didn't know everything about the man.
Right. No, of course not. And I'm incredibly sorry for your loss. I was just trying to think, you know, it just seemed very unusual that he was speaking so outwardly, you know, against Captain King, and then the terrible fate should befall him. It just seems so unusual.
Yes, but don't worry yourself about it. We'll have a proper time to grieve for him, and I'm sure you would join us for that as well if you want to spend some time just making sure that we show our appreciation for when he was here.
Of course, Mr. Hampton. Please let me leave you in peace now.
Yes, thank you.
I think I'd probably sneak off to the library.
Mhm.
And I don't think there's anything much I can do. There's probably nothing to research here, anything like that. And but just think on it. Just think on why Lord Cosgrove would publicly denounce Captain King like that.
Yeah. So you don't you hadn't met him before, but in general, even if someone was a louder person or someone who liked to gossip, it did seem like a pretty extreme situation, and the way that he was phrasing and speaking in the gardens at such a loud volume. That does seem very odd to you for anyone in the town.
Well, I can only imagine not wanting to go out, not wanting to be seen. It's probably reading in the library, followed by an early night, probably.
Yep.
For Georgiana.
How is your night's sleep this evening?
Probably more trouble than the night before. The night before there was a concern and a worry about the genealogy, the heraldry of Captain King, family, name, estate. Just this concern that, you know, that he's only been heard of for a year, and now this word, this charlatan word, has been thrown around by Lord Cosgrove. I think that's the word, more than rascal. It's charlatan. It's a concern, a worry about, you know, is he a fraud? Is he a fake? You know, what's he doing? Is he looking to marry into money because he doesn't have any of his own? Is he, dare we say it, well, he's not one of these industrial types, clearly, because that would be detestable. But you know, is he a pretender? Even worse, is he one of these kind of social climbers who's trying to trap someone from the ton in their web? So yeah, I think she's still really excited about going, and she absolutely wants to believe that he's not, and that he is the perfect gentleman and naval captain. And she is really excited. And being a naval captain, perhaps she'd like to think, maybe in her head, she's imagining that he's the second son in the family. First son might be, you know, inheriting some kind of larger estate or some such. Yeah, she's trying to convince herself all is well, but it takes some time.
Yep. All right. So waking up the next morning, Mrs. Hampton seems to be renewed of energy. She's trying her best to put what happened yesterday out of her mind and just be in the excitement of the day. She eats breakfast and tells you, I will be right out. I just need to get a couple things ready to go. If you need anything else before we head to London, please do so now, but we will be leaving very shortly.
No, of course. I'm all packed up, all ready to go. And I'll just tap the little book I've got on me about naval tradition.
Okay.
Yeah, that's no, all good and all ready to go.
So Mrs. Hampton goes back to her room, and it's about an hour wait until she comes back. She comes out and she says, "Oh, we're ready. We're ready. Let's get on the move. I think it's a little late, but let's get going."
What flower did she have on her today?
She has a carnation.
Perfect. Well, I've got my things. I've got my I'm assuming the dress was dropped off, the hat, the necklace, all the extras. So it's all packed and yeah, ready to get in the carriage and drive the 7-hour drive to London. London to Brighton is 7 hours.
Yes. So this is a rather long journey. There's nothing dramatic that happens on your way to the townhouse. The Hamptons have a townhouse in London that you stop at first and kind of get situated. The party will start at 7 p.m. this evening, and it's about 5 right now. Also, as you are kind of getting settled, can you give me a spot hidden?
Yes, I can. Oh dear, a 90 versus 75.
Excellent.
I am full verse and chapter here of naval regulation in 1792. I don't think either of the Hamptons are listening as I read aloud.
Oh yeah. Your book is much more interesting than anything else going on, so
Actually, can I suppose something that would have been on my mind, especially since getting into the carriage with Mr. and Mrs. Hampton, do either of them look visibly taken aback? So in terms of, I feel that my reputation has been knocked somewhat since I was talking to Lord Cosgrove when he died. Do I see that similar, I suppose, inherent feeling in Mr. Hampton?
it seems like Mr. Hampton is more taken aback by the death and is not concentrated on reputation. He's a little bit somber, but doesn't have any concerns. Okay, so yeah, it's about 5 p.m. Is there anything you would like to do before the soiree?
And have we arrived or we're still in the carriage?
You have arrived, and you're stopped at the Hamptons townhouse in London.
Sorry, of course. Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
I think this is the time to suit up and boot up. This is the time where I want to put on my fantastic dress, my feathered hat, my necklace with some kind of teal looking kind of jewel in it as well. Yeah, and the gloves and everything. This is where I prepare to party.
Absolutely. And Mrs. Hampton is all over making sure that every little detail is on point.
Nice.
Smoothing out all the different wrinkles in the dress, making sure that your hair is just the perfect accent to this glorious hat. You're looking ready to go. This is quite the outfit.
I think she's feeling it as well. I think Georgiana's feeling it. She's a little bit, I don't know, maybe feels a little bit uncomfortable because she wouldn't normally dress like this, but she feels that for this occasion,
yeah,
this is her going to be fitting in rather than standing out for the wrong reasons.
Yep. Excellent. As she's finishing up your final touches, she says, "I'll just be a moment and then we will leave for the party." And she goes back to her room.
It's gonna be an hour, isn't she?
Yeah, it's about an hour. So it's a little bit past 7 o'clock right now. But fashionably late is an okay look to have. So you do head to the soiree, and it's a pretty short ride away. It seems like guests have already started to arrive. As you're just stepping out of your carriage, there's a scruffy bearded man that kind of just bumbles past you, and he meets your eyes for a quick second, and he says, "Take care, ma'am," and he pushes a piece of paper into your hand.
Oh.
Which I will share here.
I'll probably try and look at this rather privately. This is a double page from a book. It's The Rights of Man, answer to Mr. Burke's attack on the French Revolution. Thomas Paine, Secretary for the Foreign Affairs to Congress in the American Wars, author of the work entitled Common Sense, which was published in London and printed in Fleet Street. But on the blank page next to it, in italic writing, so this is someone that's written in the book as opposed to what's printed there, it says, Cosgrove's death was no accident. The loom is weaving its spell. Follow the pipes, trust no one. A friend. Completely normal.
Also, I would like an interval.
Oh, a hard success.
Excellent.
29 over 18.
So, although you didn't get a great look at the man in the gardens, the general kind of look to this person and posture seems very, very similar to the man in the bushes in the garden. Could possibly be the same person.
Did they look like... So, yeah, they came to me and gave me that paper, so there must have been some level of recognition on their part, even if they just were recognizing me as, you're that girl from the gardens.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I read it, I pop it, fold it, pop it in my probably my little bag that I've got. But I keep it with me, but I pop it away. I don't want anybody else to see it.
The man did head kind of the opposite direction of the house.
Oh, really?
Yes. So you are welcome if you'd like to go into the house or perhaps follow the man, whichever direction you would like to go.
If I could catch up to him, I'd be quite interested in just following him. And yeah, sir, sir, excuse me a second. I think you may have dropped something.
Can you roll dex for me?
Oh no, do I use luck? 44 over 40. Oh, do I use luck? Yeah, I do, yeah.
Okay, so he starts to weave in and out of some of the guests heading towards the house, but you are able to keep pretty close step behind him. You hear from the back, Mrs. Hampton go, Georgiana, where are you going? But you do catch up and he looks back at you and sees that you're pretty close behind him and takes a moment to pause. So just take care, ma'am. And he starts to turn the other direction.
Excuse me, sir. Just one moment of your time. I promise. Just one moment, and then I'll leave you be.
Yes.
And then I'll go up closer so I can speak quieter.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen your note, and I think we both know that we met in the gardens in Brighton the other day, don't we?
Beware the gang.
Beware the gang.
They will lengthen your brain until your thoughts fly like a kite in the breeze. They came for me, miss, and they'll come for you too. He kind of looks around, making sure that no one is paying attention to your conversation. The king and the glove lady, the schoolmaster, none of them can be trusted. Trust no one. But above all, beware the middleman who and you see him kind of retract into himself, like he doesn't want to continue the line of conversation.
Well, that's all right. Don't worry. I can see you're a little bit upset there. That's all right. Don't worry. Is this a silly little game, is it, that you're playing?
A game? This is not a game. The middleman, he's gonna get your brain, and then he turns around and starts running the other direction.
I'm not going to run after him. I'm at a party. I've chanced it enough just walking after this gentleman to to speak to him. I will at this moment just take a breath, take a second, think on what he said. Beware the king, beware the schoolmaster, beware the middleman. Was there somebody else, or I'm
the glove lady?
That was it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Georgiana heard. I did. I think Georgiana's going to turn around and kind of wave back now to Miss Hampton. Oh, Miss Hampton, sorry, I took a wrong turn. Sorry, I'm coming.
Oh, it's okay, dear. I'm sure you have a little bit of nerves, but you'll be just fine.
Yeah, that's right. Little nerves. Quite right. And then I'm go with the flow, just going with the tide of guests going in, I think.
Yep. And she makes sure that you stay close behind. She kind of looks up back a couple times, making sure that you're following. As you enter Captain King's house, you feel a slight static electric shock from the thick piled carpet. It's a very nice plushy carpet, but there's just a little bit of a hint of a shock as you walk in through the door.
Does anybody else feel it? Do I see anybody else reacting to it?
You see Mrs. Hampton, who's right in front of you, do a little bit of a jump, but she recovers quite quickly and moves on.
I carry on. Carry on going in with everybody else. It's just a static shock. It's completely normal.
Yeah. Everything's fine. I'm going to show you the layout of the house.
There you go. Okay, yeah, I see it. 26 Finchester Crescent.
Okay, so you have just entered the ground floor on the entrance hall. The general aura here is one of a lot of excitement. The house seems to be very spotlessly clean in this area. It looks like it's been done up very well. Some flowers here and there for the guests and the occasion. There's also a very large mirror in this entry hallway. And it makes you pause as you glance in this mirror, as you see a reflection of a man in dusty clothes and an old wig behind you.
Ooh.
Can you give me a fashion roll?
Oh, that's a 41 versus 20, I'm afraid. A failure.
So you don't really, you can't place where these clothes are from, but they do look older than what people in current society wear.
I suppose I turn around quickly to see if he's there. Not to see if he's there, to see, like, just to turn around and see him and see, you know, how just completely out of fashion he is.
Yeah, so when you do that, there's no one behind you.
But if I turn back quickly and look in the mirror,
he's back there. He has his back turned to you, so you can only see his coat, wig, and hat.
And then at the risk of looking like I'm crazy, if I turn back again and look in person,
you don't see anyone. And I will have you roll sanity.
Oh my word, a 64 on a 64.
Oh wow, okay.
Just a success.
So you're good. You don't need to take anything.
But I suppose I'll reach out and just tap whoever's next to me, whether that's Mrs. Hampton or Mr. Hampton or perhaps even someone else, and just say, "Did you look at that in the mirror there? Do you see that gentleman with a wig on?"
Mrs. Hampton turns to the mirror and says, "Oh, you look fine, honey. You don't need to be checking yourself in the mirror."
No, I know. I meant that man there. See, look that there with the wig on.
No. And she looks closer into the mirror and looks kind of confused, and then looks over her shoulder a couple. I don't know what you're talking about, Miss Georgiana.
No, don't you worry yourself, Miss Hampton. I'm just warming up for conversation. Silly me. Your dress looks lovely, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Just take a few deep breaths. We're fine. We'll have a great time today. Um, as you are finishing up the conversation with Mrs. Hampton, you recognize Captain King, who comes to the entrance hall. He's dressed in, again, a very dark blue, well put together captain's uniform. And he greets you and the Hamptons, saying, "Thank you so much for attending. I'm so glad you were able to make it."
I will give an overly big curtsy, and just, oh, Captain King, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting us. We're very excited about tonight and spending time with you, and perhaps getting to know your family if they're here as well.
Oh, well, I'm so glad that you're here. I'm sure you'll get to know many people while you're here, some of which are from Brighton as well. So I am sure, know plenty of people. He calls over a footman to help. Will you help them with their cloaks, please? Someone comes over to take any accessories or cloaks that you may not want on you at this time. So would you like to accompany me to the drawing room over here? That's where most of the conversation is happening right now.
Oh, absolutely. I'd be delighted, Captain King.
He offers his arm for you if you would like to take
I
his arm.
absolutely take it. And I also cast a little glance around to see if I can see who is it? I want to be able to see if they're there. Miss Isabel Glossop and Mary Glossop, the sisters. Just to give them a smile, you know.
Yes. So you don't see them immediately. However, when you get closer into the drawing room, you do spot them on the other side of the room. From what you can tell, they both pause their conversation for a moment as they witness the captain coming in with you on his arm.
Very gracious of you, Captain. May I ask, how are you? I mean, this is such a wonderful event, and you must be very busy.
Oh, quite busy. However, I'm just so glad to have everyone in my home and socializing, nearing the end of the season, which has been quite excellent for me, getting to know everyone. So I'm quite just happy today.
That sounds lovely. I really hope I get the opportunity to spend some time with you this evening. I know there's lots of guests here.
I'm sure that we will have more time later to speak. Just maybe make yourself at home, and I will be with you again later this evening.
Of course. Thank you, Captain.
So he goes off to greet some other guests and make conversation. This room that you're in has a number of tables that are set up. Some people are playing cards. It's lavishly decorated with rich blue wallpaper and gold painted wood. The chimney has two handsome naval swords on it, and also give me a spot hidden.
That's a success, a 39 under 75.
So the other thing that you notice that kind of sticks out near the chimney is there's a glass disc that's embedded in the wall, and there's a faint glowing emitting from it. From this distance, it looks like it could be a decoration of some sort. It just looks a little bit out of place.
I think I'd probably go over to that. Just unless it would be wrong etiquette to not immediately go over to certain guests and things. But I think in the room, if new people are coming in and, you know, the hustle and bustle, no one's going to notice if I go over to that first, and even make it look like perhaps I'm on the way to go over to somebody else.
Absolutely, yeah. So as you get closer, yeah, it's a glass disc, and it's almost like there's a light that's making it glow from behind, perhaps, but it's not something that looks like you've seen before.
Can I ask what color the faint glow is?
It's a yellow tinted, like a little bit white, a little bit yellow tinted.
And is there any other significant markings on it?
Nope. As you're looking at the decoration, Miss Isabel comes over to you and says, "Why are you staring at the wall?"
I was just having a look at this interesting glass plate. I was just taking in a moment after being escorted in by Captain King, I suppose, just enjoying it. How are you, Isabel?
Oh yes, I'm good. She she when you mentioned the captain, she like kind of looks down a little bit and then comes back to her usual posture. Goes, well, I'm so glad that you're here, and maybe you'd like to play a hand of cards, or whatever you'd like to do. If you'd like to have conversation, I'm always here as well, and as my sister.
Well, I'm more than happy to play some cards. Always interested in the strategy of a game, unless there's something you'd like to talk about.
Oh no, that I think cards would be absolutely lovely. And she motions for you to come over. There's a particular table with a few people, and she introduces one of the people at the table. Say, this is Miss Theodore's Dawes. Have you met yet? Georgiana, have you met?
No, not that I believe. A pleasure to meet you, Miss Theodora.
It's nice to meet you as well. She looks like a woman about your age. Looks a little bit maybe shy to meet someone new, but then approaches and motions to the chair beside her for you to take a seat if you'd like to join.
I do. I go and sit next to her.
I will have you take a gaming roll.
That is a critical fail. That is 100 versus 10. I lose the entire Hampton's fortune on my first hand.
So as you play the first hand, the girl that you just met, Theodosia, she goes, have you played before?
No, but after a couple of hands, I'm a quick learner. I tend to learn from my mistakes. That's a pretty big one, is it? I can see that you're smiling a little bit.
Yes, I'm sorry. We should have taught you. I didn't realize someone of your status wouldn't have played this game before, but we can absolutely teach you.
That would be lovely. Thank you very much.
Miss Isabel is over there giggling as you're playing these cards horribly.
As they're teaching me, can I strike up a conversation as we play?
Absolutely.
I'll say, when we used to play little games and things as kids, we often used to come up with nicknames and things for each other. It was a bit of the fun and that. So I thought maybe, I don't know, maybe we could do the same. It seemed like a nice way for us to bond here this weekend.
Well, I think that's an excellent idea.
So it is Isabella. You I don't know. We might call you the giggler, perhaps. You seem to be giggling all the time.
I don't know what you mean, but yeah, that would work.
And this is where Georgiana's going to get a little bit sneaky and hopefully not put her foot in it. She's going to say, and obviously, if our gracious host was playing with us, he'd be the king, wouldn't he? That would make sense. I don't know. What if we were? Maybe we think of a name and then think of a person we could put it to. What about the glove lady?
Well,
Does anybody?
Lots of people wearing gloves. I don't think that would distinguish them very well. But I thought of a great name for you. This is Miss Isabel.
I'm listening, Isabel.
Well, you're wearing such a great, fantastic hat today, and she's actually like genuine. She really likes your hat.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, this is actually a good hat. And she goes, well, you can be maybe Miss Feathers.
I like it, Isabel. Thank you very much. Lovely nickname, Miss Feathers. Very good. Did anybody react when I said glove lady, whether it was at the table or maybe nearby?
No one reacted. They were more on the side of confusion because a lot of people are wearing gloves at this occasion. So we're like, well, who would that be? It could be anyone.
Once we had someone playing with us, and they had been someone who had been one of our teachers. They were called the schoolmaster.
Oh, that's
Again,
interesting. Again, no reaction.
Nuts! I thought I was coming up with something clever.
That was very clever. Very clever. They're all just kind of like, oh, you're a little bit weird.
I think she does. I think she just palms it off as being, she's just kind of like, oh, it's just like, but I miss feathers and miss giggles. That works. And you, Theodosia, let's
Yes, well, I do quite like horses. Maybe something with that. I go riding quite a bit.
But that sounds like a lovely idea. What about Little Red Riding Hood?
That sounds excellent. I do like the color red.
I'm assuming she's wearing a red dress.
Yeah,
now.
Of course.
Perfect. Yeah, then if there's no reaction on these things, then I will just kind of leave that alone and see what gossip comes up as we play cards.
Okay, excellent. There's a couple of people behind you that you overhear talking about Lord Cosgrove's death. Just they're kind of in shock about it. You don't hear all the specifics around it, but that you do hear his name mentioned a few times. If you would like to, you can roll me a listen if you want to try and hear more what they're saying.
79 versus 55. I'm afraid of failure.
Yeah, so you hear his name passed around, but not much more information.
Well, hearing his name being passed around, I kind of get the idea that it's okay to talk about it, at least in closed circles. So I might at the table just say, well, we had a shocking surprise before coming down yesterday. I was in the botanical gardens, and sweet dear old Lord Cosgrove died right in front of us. It was quite a shock.
It's absolutely horrible. Miss Isabel kind of looks over to Theodosia and gives like a side eye of like, yeah, we all heard you were there kind of thing. And
yeah, I'll clock it and ignore it.
And they say, yeah, it was quite shocking. I can't believe something like that happened in the beautiful gardens. I mean, it puts a little bit of a bad taste to that area now. It's so scary. You can die, just fall over. Theodosia, she also pipes up and says, yeah, and I wonder what'll happen with all his debts. I mean, you guys heard about that, right?
No. Go on, Theodosia. Do tell.
Well, he liked to live an extravagant lifestyle. I mean, he was always at those card tables. I'm sure someone wanted to make sure he paid up. You know what I mean?
Well, you don't think anybody would have anything to gain, would you, by
Well, I wouldn't be one to speculate, but if I would want my money if he owed me,
I think because of her, she knows that her reputation's been knocked by it. She's gonna kind of lean on the sympathy of it. Just, it was a great shock and it's very sad.
Yes, absolutely.
But Theodosia, what have you heard about our gracious host?
Well, as you can see, his home is very well put together and he prepared a lot for the soiree. I heard that there was some renovations going on, basically on all the floors, if I recall. I was asking Mr. Berkeley earlier because Mr. Berkeley was helping with some of the funding, perhaps, with this renovation. I don't remember the specifics, but it was quite an undertaking, if I do recall.
Mr. Berkeley is from Brighton, isn't he? He was one of the guests that. What do I know about Mr. Berkeley? Anything? Do I know anything about him?
He's very rich. He's not quite easy to socialize. He's not always the most proper in society, but he has a large fortune.
Right. Then I'll just, oh, Mr. Berkeley, that's wonderful. Have you seen any of the renovations around the house?
Oh, I haven't done much exploring, but I imagine there is some work going on here in this room to make it ready to go, and perhaps upstairs had some work done as well. I personally haven't been up there yet.
Shall we have a sneak about as girls?
Well, I don't know if that would be proper, and Miss Isabella kind of perks up when you suggest to go looking around the house. And so
Do they, I want to see is how that's kind of taken. Like, am I completely in societal wrong here, or are they like, actually, this is exciting?
yeah, so there's two other girls, Miss Mary and then Miss Theodosia. Both Miss Mary and Theodosia kind of back off a little bit. Like they're not going to tell anyone, but they're just like, we're not going to participate. Like that wouldn't necessarily be proper. We're fine to continue having conversation. But Miss Isabel, she kind of gives you a look, says, hmm, and slowly gets up from her chair and walks slowly towards the entrance hall.
I slightly get up from my chair and just say, well, if you excuse us, ladies, it's been an absolute pleasure playing cards with you and getting to know you better.
Absolutely, yes. So yeah, once you are out of the main hall where most of the guests are, it looks like this area, there's a couple of members of the staff were walking back and forth, but they're not stopping to pause and have conversation or anything. They're just going and taking care of whatever needs attended to at this moment. And Miss Isabel will lean in a little bit closer to you and say, I am quite curious how the captain lives, aren't you?
Well, I think, a quick walk around the house isn't out of bounds of being a guest. Perhaps we got lost,
I mean, how couldn't you get lost in a nice house like this, right?
Right, exactly.
So she does a quick look around, make sure that there's no one in the immediate vicinity, and bolts up the stairs to the first floor.
Can I do the same?
Yes. Okay.
I was going to say, would I need to do a spot hidden in terms of looking to see if anybody sees me, whether I see them seeing me or anything like that?
No, you actually felt like there was a good coast is clear. You both
Excellent.
did a pretty good look before you ran for it.
Nicely timed moment. Okay, perfect. Yeah, run upstairs.
Okay. Now that you're upstairs, there is quite a lot of doors to rooms that are not open. And I will leave it up to you if you want to try those doorknobs or if you want to just get a general sense of the layout.
I think perhaps being a little bit risky, maybe trying the odd one and just if it opens, you could just pop your head in. It's not about going in these rooms and turning them over or anything like that. It's just having a little look around. I just think that if in the back of Georgiana's mind, the reason she's doing this, that her motivation, her objective is convince herself that he is normal, that he does have a family, he does come from somewhere, he's not just arrived from a year ago. Right. As a charlatan, Cosgrove's words, he's a charlatan. She wants to walk into a room and she wants to see family portraits. She wants to possibly even see a family. So there is motive to what she's doing.
Excellent. There are quite a few doors that are locked. They won't open with your little testing of the doorknobs. Otherwise, there's one door that opens when you just peek your head in. It looks very sparsely furnished, like a sofa near one of the walls, but it looks relatively empty. Another door that you get to opens and it looks like someone's bedroom. It looks more recently lived in, still pretty sparsely furnished, but it at least looks like there's been some movement in this room versus the other room that just kind of looked bare and that no one has spent a lot of time in.
What does Isabella say?
I will answer that in one moment. I would like you to make a listen roll.
Oh, an extreme success. 10 versus 55.
Okay.
That was needed.
You hear a mixture of voices, but they feel in the background, not as far away as the majority of the guests are in. So like it's louder than those guests because you can hear the words, but it's not, it doesn't seem like it's right up close to you. This mixture of voices are in French for the majority of what they're saying. There's a couple of voices that are speaking English. And there's one stuttering voice as well. They're in general warnings. I will also have you roll language French.
No. 65 over 50. Oh.
Okay. So you're not 100% sure what the people are saying in French, but you pick up words here and there. And a lot of them seem to be in despair, pleading for something. One of the voices is warning, be careful, be careful.
Do I get a sense that it's the same chap from before?
It does sound like him, yes. And I will have you roll sanity.
Success, 40 versus 64 sanity.
Okay, you're good.
So I think this is the same man from the Notes in the Gardens.
Yes. Miss Isabel's, her voice cuts through these other voices, and she says, oh, I think this might be the captain's quarters. Oh, do you think we should go in?
Well, maybe we could just pop our heads in just for a quick second.
Just for a second, right?
Right? I want to see a family picture, I do.
Roll me stealth.
Oh, no. Oh, I'm going to use luck. That's 25 versus 20.
Oh, okay, yeah. You totally use luck.
Gotta have no... I'm on 43 and I started on 70. This is the fastest I've ever spent luck, I think, ever in any game I've ever played. Wow. So yeah, just success.
Amazing. Isabel, she sneaks in. You can tell that she's tiptoeing, walking very quietly. And this looks like someone has recently slept here. To your knowledge, no one else is living with Captain King, so it's a pretty good assumption that this might be his quarters. The wallpaper is peeling in some areas, and the floorboards are a little bit rough and uneven. The bed is made up, and there is a dressing table with a selection of books on top of it. And that's all you see from the first initial glance.
I will say, Isabella, stay here for a second. Let me know if anybody's coming.
Okay.
Can I just have a look at the books and just see what's being read?
Yes. So the majority of the books are from known liberal and radical authors. You haven't done a ton of reading in this extreme of views, but you are familiar with the authors' names. In particular, there is a well-thumbed copy of The Rights of Man in this pile.
Does this feel does it feel that these books are, even though they might be rather radical as stated, but are these relatively normal books for someone to have, perhaps?
It might be normal to have one in a collection, but the fact that that is the only focus of these books, and it's really the only thing you see in here, it seems a little bit odd that there's such a focus on it.
I suppose as I'm walking back from the books, is there anything as I glance across the room as I'm walking out? Yes. Mirrors, pictures.
There is a small canvas satchel hanging from one of the bedposts.
If Isabella is keeping guard, I might just lift up the top and have a little look in.
Yes, Isabel, she's giggling really, really quietly, like she's trying her best to keep it under wraps, and she keeps looking out in the hallway. So you seem to feel like she's at least paying attention to see if anyone else is coming.
I will just very kind of, especially if it's not even not done up, I'll just kind of lift the flap on the satchel and just have a little nose in.
Yep. Inside, there's a selection of cards with an arrangement of holes punched into them. I'm going to share what that looks like. And then there's writing on the last punch card.
Lobster cracking, by which the fluids are redirected to the brain and death is instant. That sounds familiar. That sounds like something that may have happened to our old pal, Lord Cosgrove. Lobster cracking, by which the fluids are redirected to the brain and death is instant. I imagine I would get an immediate flash of Lord Cosgrove's final moments as I read that.
Yes, absolutely. There's also a crumpled up piece of paper in the bottom of the satchel.
I will absolutely, having seen that, I will definitely whip that out and just smooth it out quickly and have a look at it.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so this is a folded letter. My dear Captain, it has come to my attention that your credentials are fictitious and your naval service record falsified. I knew it. I have undertaken a preliminary investigation into your provenance and found the results most educating or elucidating. As you portray a member of the gentry, I hope your coin is as good as your act, as I shall require remuneration on a monthly basis to prevent the release of this most damning evidence to wider society. If my terms are agreeable, I am happy to discuss this. Friday at the Pavilion Gardens. I await your reply. I remain your obedient servant, Cosgrove. Oh dear. So Cosgrove's outed Captain King as a fake. I'm going to keep this.
Okay.
I'm going to fold this up and put it in my little bag. I'm not going to say anything to Isabel, but I am going to fold it up and keep it.
You keep the punch cards as well?
Yes, I think I do.
Okay.
If they look like they can be folded upon each other and folded down quite small.
Yes.
Yes, then I will. Yeah.
Miss Isabel, she goes, I think I hear footsteps, and she like frantically closes the door.
What, coming into the room or going out?
She comes into the room with you.
Oh no. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Then shh. We have to keep right quiet now, Isabel. Absolute silent, no bloody giggles. You hear me?
And she covers her mouth and ducks behind the bed.
Yeah, I'll go with her and duck behind the bed.
Listen roll.
Oh no. Oh, that's a failure. That's 63 versus 55.
Okay.
Everything's fine.
You hear a couple of steps, but you can't place exactly where they are. Either in the hallway or heading towards one of the staircases. You don't get that clear of a sense of what direction.
To stay quiet. We have to stay here for a minute, Isabel.
Did you find anything?
No, just a couple of books. And that's about it, really. It looks like perhaps the renovations haven't, reached upstairs yet,
Yes, that might be true. You guys wait there for a few minutes. She's listening very quietly and starts to tiptoe near the door and puts her ear right up against the door. I think we're okay.
Okay, right. I think we get back down to the party now, don't you?
Yes. And she opens the door. And she says, here, lead the way. And she kind of shoves you out.
Right, all right then. Right, yes, of course.
So are you heading back towards the staircase?
Yes, yeah. I kind of take a hand and we scuttle down as quickly as we can, I think.
Okay. You start to head that direction. You go down the stairs and you would expect to be back in the entrance hall where you went up. However, where you land is not the entrance hall. This looks like a hallway that you have not seen before.
I don't think it was this way, Isabella.
That's odd.
Maybe just keep going for a moment now. We'll see. I do remember coming up here.
Wait, where? I'm not sure where we are.
No, we were supposed to go down the hallway and the stairs and then back down. But I maybe we've gone down a different staircase.
Yeah, perhaps we have. So maybe we need to go up again.
Is there any doors or anything down here? Are there any doors?
There are, yes. It looks like a
Um,
very similar layout to the first floor that you were just on.
Do I get a sense that we've gone up or down?
You believe you've gone down. I was going to say you could try and find a window that could help orient.
Yeah. We'll go to the nearest window, and I might try door handles on the way to the nearest window.
Yes. Doors are locked. There is one door that's open that looks like another bedroom. However, it does not look like it's been lived in. Like, it is a bit dusty, basically just a bed and dresser, but there's nothing else in this room. There is a window that you can find off of one of the sides of the hallway, and you're definitely higher than the first floor. So although you went down the stairs, you have landed higher up in this building.
And is there anything unusual about the corridor or the doors or any markings?
Roll me a spot hidden, please.
Oh my word, an extreme success. That's a 3 under 75.
Okay. There's a wood panel with a carving of a face that sticks out to you on the side of one of the hallways. And here is what it looks like.
That is rather unique. It's a wood square, and centered in the framework is almost like a fawn-ish, impish individual. It's got remnants of the kind of the green man aspect to it. You've got the face with, is that a tongue or a leaf coming out of its mouth?
Looks like a leaf.
Yeah, and then what's unusual is above its kind of sweeping eyebrows and hair that seems to be pulling out to the sides. Above it, there are 4 kind of spike-like elements, but one centralized one, which is much wider, which almost, you could argue that it looks like an opened shell, or perhaps an open skull. It almost has a slightly different hue in the color compared to the rest, but it's rather disturbing image, especially with no context for it, and there's none of these anywhere else in the house.
No, you have not seen these elsewhere in the house.
And this is on a door.
It is not on the door. It's just on the side of the hallway.
Okay. Yeah, that's worrying. Isabella.
Yes.
What do you think of this now? Look at this
Oh.
little face here.
Oh, I hate that. That's weird.
It's very strange, isn't it?
Very, very strange. Listen, please.
Yeah. That's what happens when you sneak around someone's house, isn't it? Oh, success. 42 under 55.
You do hear footsteps coming from the stairwell behind you. Isabel seems to hear it as well, and she goes, we have to hide. Look, what about in here? And there's a little cupboard door open that is slightly ajar, and she kind of darts that way.
I will squeeze in with her.
Yes, it's quite a small space, but you do both fit in. She pulls the door very quietly behind. And you are smushed in here with thick copper pipes. You don't know much about how houses are built, but it does seem a little bit odd that these pipes are in this particular location, and also the size of the pipes. Inside the cupboard is very cold as well. Everything feels suddenly extremely cold in this area.
Are the pipes themselves cold?
Yes. Extremely. There are some valves on the pipes as well.
Do we see the person who's walking? Do we actually see them walk past?
Isabel has closed the door, so you can't see them unless you would like to try and open it back up.
Yeah, I think I'll just try and squeak it open a little bit.
Okay. You do see a very elegant lady in what looks like an outdated gown. And she's wearing a very heavy riding glove on her left hand. So this is unlike the gloves that you are likely wearing, which is lighter for the occasion and be worn at a soiree. This is very much a thick glove for riding and is only on one of her hands. You don't recognize this lady, and you also don't recall seeing her downstairs.
I will mouth the words to Isabella and just say, "Love lady."
And she gives you a look like, oh, okay.
Well, we were told to beware the glove lady, or I was told to beware the glove lady. So, do I see where she's going?
Yes, she's going up to the weird wood paneling that you recently observed.
What does she do?
So as she walks up to this wood panel, it is almost as if she walks straight through it. I'm going to have you roll sanity.
Yeah, okay, that's sure. Another success, 36 versus 64.
You'd take 1 sanity for that.
Okie dokie. Does anybody else seem to be in the corridor?
No one else.
Did Isabella see her just walk through a wall?
She did not.
So I'm not going to tell her, but I am going to go back over to the wooden carving and just gently push my hand to it and see if there's like a physical contact or whether it seems like maybe it's a curtain, there's a false curtain. There's got to be an explanation. It's got to be.
Yes. So can you describe a little bit of how much you're investigating, how you're investigating this paneling?
I think firstly I'll probably feel around the outside of the panel itself, and then the wall, and then if everything there is okay, I'll probably kind of run my hands kind of over it as if it were a painting, as if I was going over every inch. But when I get to the face, if it's protruding out, I'll probably kind of run my hand over the dentures and things, see if there's any. You know, people have been known to have a false wall, usually painted with books to match a bookcase. It's been known, you know, as a generational hidey hole or things. So it's probably one of those. So that's what I'll do. I'll kind of like stroke over the face to see if there's any kind of point of contact.
Yes. As you're going around the side of this wood paneling, there is a moment where your finger hits something that feels like it might be a switch.
Isabella, wait there, stand there. Stand right there.
Okay.
Right. Now watch this. I'm going to press the switch.
You are on a turning point in the floor, and the wall turns, and you have transported to the other side of the wall.
With Isabella?
Nope, she's back in the other hall.
Oh dear. What's in the room I'm in? What have I just arrived into?
It's a very dark hallway, and there is a staircase down, but there's nothing in your immediate vicinity.
I mean,
it also feels very cold here.
Okay. So the thing is, I kind of feel, having found the letter, there is physical proof, not just hearsay now, that Cosgrove has accused Captain King of being a charlatan, being a fake, being a liar. I was warned to watch out for the glove lady. There's a glove lady here. This isn't just my own psychosis or silliness. There are genuine concerns here. And if I am to, let's say, socially renounce Captain King after having traveled to London, traveled to the ball without it damaging my reputation, I'm going to need some bloody good evidence and reason to that. So I'm going to leave Isabella for a moment.
Okay.
because I'm a bit worried about taking her with me because she's actually been really lovely and really pleasant. Whereas before she may have been cannon fodder. Although do I get her because I don't really want to do this on my own. I'm assuming if I push the button, it spins back around.
Yes, that's correct.
I will tap the button, spin back round, and I'm hoping she's still there.
She is still there, and she's giggling, and she's going, "Where did you go?"
Isabella, look, come here, come and stand next to me.
Okay.
I'll show you. Secret passages. Look, hold on. And then I press it again, and
yep.
I'm guessing we kind of go back round. And then, Isabella, I am going to keep having a look because I'm really excited about this. But I understand now if you wanted to go back, I would understand.
Well,
but it is rather exciting.
It is quite exciting. She puts her arms, crosses her arms to kind of warm herself, and she has a bit of a shiver. It's like, well, if you don't mind, I actually think it might be better if I go back.
All right.
She is starting to look a little bit scared.
Of course. Listen, Isabella, I'm just going to have a little nose about, like we said. Please don't tell anybody. But if I'm not back, perhaps in an hour, perhaps you'd come looking to make sure I'm okay.
Yes, that would be great. Yes, I think perhaps on my way down, I'll say hello to some of the servants and get to know them a bit. That seems like a very odd comment to you, knowing society and how the Ton usually interacts with those members of the staff.
Would I read anything into that?
Yes, it's a very odd thing to hear.
It's a very odd thing to hear. She wants to get to know the servants. Because why would she want to get the servants? Because she wants to ask the servants about Captain King or about the house, or maybe she's involved with the whole thing. She's the mastermind. I feel like I'm on a trail going into this dark hallway. Don't feel like I want to turn back and speak to servants. Maybe I should. Isabella, do you want me to come with you, or are you all right getting back on your own?
Oh, either is fine. I think, well, we did get a little lost, I guess, on the way. How did we get here?
I don't really know. I think going back out into the corridor and going back to the stairs is probably a good idea.
Yes, I'm sure I'll find my way. Then
yes, you go speak to the servants.
Yes.
But also, if I'm not back, as I said, in an hour, you speak to Mrs. Hampton, and you tell them that you were here with me, and you come and find me. Yes.
Yes, of course. And she presses the button. She like scoots you off, and then presses the button.
Yeah. Oh, okay. On my own. Okay. I will have a look around the hallway that I'm in.
Yes, it is almost an immediate staircase down, so there's really not much of a landing here. It's pretty dark, a little bit damp. You give me a spot hidden.
Oh, hang on. That roll. Yeah, I did roll. That's a 51 versus 75.
Excellent. In one of the corners, you see kind of a pool of liquid like consistency.
If I were to take a step or two closer, would I be able to tell a color or a texture?
Yes, it is oily looking and black, and it seems to kind of be pooling in this area. And if you look above where it is, there's one of the copper pipes along that area that it is likely where this fluid is coming from.
So the copper pipe kind of comes down and then is open, and it looks like it's
Yes.
Hmm.
You can roll me natural philosophy to see if you can identify this fluid a little bit more.
Oh, wow. A hard success. 12
Wow,
versus
excellent.
31. Didn't expect that.
So this fluid, it looks to be metallic, like a metallic solution. And you're also noticing that there are some nails in the floor that the liquid is attracted to and is starting to pool around these iron nails. And that makes you think that it could be magnetic.
Just to put you at ease, I have no idea what's going on at the moment. I cannot put these puzzle pieces together. I'm sure someone's listening going, of course, this is what's happening. But I've got nothing at the moment. I've got all the clues. I have got all the clues, or a lot of the clues.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does this go on, or is this kind of the bottom of the
You're on in the entryway area, and then staircases down is the only thing left.
Okay, going down. I've got to go. I've got to kind of I kind of want to see where the glove lady is. I want to see what's going on.
Yes.
I want to find the book that says all the secrets.
Yes. This is exactly what is happening. So you head down to one floor down, and there is a continuation of the staircases. Nothing else of note in the area. Would you like to continue?
Yeah, doors, doorknobs, any other carvings on the walls? Just
Nope.
continued corridor.
Just continued corridor.
Oh yeah, I'm going.
One more floor down, same situation. You can kind of presume based on how high you were up before that right now you're probably on the ground floor, and that this next set of staircases will take you to the basement level.
Okay. Then that is, unless there's any other kind of side doors or anything like that here, then I guess I'm going to the basement level.
All right. You head down. There's a little bit longer of a corridor here, and right in front of you is a closed door.
I will very quietly and carefully make my way to that door and open it slightly.
You open it up, and as you peek into this room, it opens up into a fairly large lit brick cellar. You can feel the heat actually coming from this room, which is surprising that it's such a stark difference from the cold that you've been in these corridors. And you can see that there is a continuation of these brass tubes hanging from the ceiling. But dominating the center of the room is a very large square contraption, and it's constructed from dark wood. It's kind of similar to what you would think a pipe organ looks like, but half of the copper pipes ascend into the ceiling. It's connected to this contraption.
Ooh.
And this is also has some wooden barrels on the side surrounding it. And there's additional pipes connecting the barrels into this contraption. It's almost like you can hear a little bit of a hum and feel the vibrations emanating from this large square wooden thing, for lack of a better term.
Vibrations. I think, is anybody in here?
There are people in here. So there is the lady that had the riding glove. She is sitting at this contraption, and it looks like she's working with these two large levers on either side. These levers seem very difficult for her to move up and down, but she seems to know quite familiar with what she's trying to achieve. And you also spot Captain King, who has since shed his naval jacket, rolled up his sleeve in this heat, and is working on the pipes. There are some valves that he's turning on these pipes.
No one else?
There, you can't quite see from your angle, but you see perhaps some people lying down on the side, of the room. You would have to get in a little bit further to know who or what these other figures are doing.
Would I give myself away if I did that?
It's possible. From what you can sense in the room, they're working a little bit frantically, so it might not be that they recognize you right away or be paying attention.
Okay, I'm gonna try and sneak and have a little look at who's lying on the floor.
Okay. Inside there are 3 figures that look to be dead. Their faces are contorted in these painful looks of agony, almost like they had paused in that state of being. There's only one that you recognize, and it is the bearded man that was given you the note, and the same man that was in the gardens.
Can I get any sense of what the glove lady and Captain King are doing? Like what the contraption is, what the device is with the pipes and the wooden box and the levers?
The fluid you see is spraying onto the floor and bursting through some of the pipes. It seems like they're trying to control this machine to perhaps get something up to the other levels.
So it's like they're trying to pump up.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I don't know what to do.
Roll me stealth, please.
Oh dear. That's a 95 versus 20.
Okay. Captain King, he spots you over by the door and calls to you and says, "Oh, Georgiana, please help us. I'm glad you're okay. Come, please help us." And he's motioning you in.
Right, of course. I sorry, I got a little bit lost. How can I help, Captain?
Yes, Mademoiselle, she will need help with the levers. You just need to pull on one of the sides, please.
Right, of course. I think within the shock of being like caught, and not kind of accused or anything immediately and kind of involved, I'm a bit like, oh yeah, of course, right. So I am going to grab one of the levers and start pumping it, but I'm kind of doing it with the sense of, can I understand more of what's going on?
Sure. I will need a series of 3 strength rolls.
Oh,
this is a very strenuous task.
Okay. Roll number 1 is a hard success. That's 10 versus 40.
Excellent.
Starts with a good mindset. Okay. Second roll is another hard success, 20 versus 40. Okay. Georgiana should have been in with these guys from the start. And the last roll is, oh no, failure, 56 over 40.
So the first 2 pumps that you do with the lever is very successful. The lady who's on the other lever is like thanking you for letting her arms get a rest and saying, "Thank you so much. This will be a great boon to society. I'm so glad you've joined our cause. Thank you so much." And then on the third one, you kind of don't get all the way, but she's able to pick up your slack and get the lever on the 3rd strength roll.
What do you mean, boon to society? I'm always one for the cause. I'd like to know what I'm fighting for.
Equality, of course. Of course. Don't you want that?
Of course I do. Are we equality of women? Is that what we're talking about here?
Oh, everyone, women, those in the lower classes. Don't you know? Didn't the captain tell you?
He told me bits and bobs, but you can see he's very busy. Why don't you tell me?
With that, there is a shift in your head of where you're located. So you're staying in the same place. You have your hands on these levers, but it's almost like the room starts to warp around you. And you find yourself in a wood-paneled passageway that seems to stretch infinitely in front of you. It is you and the captain in this passageway.
Captain, What's going on now? Where are we?
Oh, we're inside now. You don't need to worry. And he starts to walk down the hallway.
Worry? Well, we don't need to worry about what? Where are you going, Captain? I'll like walk after him.
Can I have a listen roll?
Yeah. Oh, success. 40 under 55.
There are several doors along this passageway, and you hear individual voices coming from each one of them. Some of them are recognizable voices as guests from the party. One of which you can hear is definitely Mrs. Hampton.
What are they saying? Are they just chatting party chat?
No, the whispering voices are a bit mumbled, so you can't hear exactly what they are saying.
Captain, I feel like perhaps you might owe it to me to just stop and explain what's going on here.
He continues to walk forward.
I'll trot up to him and take his hand, I think, as if to stop him. And just say, Captain, you need to tell me what's going on here.
He will pause when you make physical contact with him, and he just turns to you and says, well, I'm trying to make society better for everyone.
How are you going to make society better for everyone?
These ideas, these fantastic ideas of people being able to mingle with other people, whoever they want, you being able to go places without a chaperone, being able to do things and explore the life that you would want. Isn't that excellent?
It sounds all very fanciful to me, Captain. I don't know. It's not having a chaperone. It doesn't seem proper.
Well, it's not proper now, but it could be.
Yes, I suppose it does seem wonderful, Captain, but I don't see what that means here. And I gesture at the corridor, that's kind of infinite corridor. What does this mean? This doesn't mean that I don't have a chaperone, does it? Now, this is something different. This is something that's not normal, Captain.
Oh, well, it's just it's necessary to make sure these views are implanted in our society. You notice only the most important people are here this evening, and this device, it will help expand people's minds. It will help them realize.
You're going to change people's minds.
Going to? I already have.
Have you changed my mind?
Oh, no, not you. I made sure it wouldn't affect you. I have great affections for you. I only wish you the best.
Captain, I only wish you the best as well, but who are you? I mean, who is Captain King? Nobody knows anything about you, Captain. Only a year ago you came onto the scene, and I think you know by now that I was there in Lord Cosgrove's last minutes. He started to say some things about you, Captain.
I don't know anything about that. All I know is the path forward. At that, there's a person in front of you that suddenly appears out of the air. He has his back towards you, and it looks like the person that you saw in the reflection of the mirror when you first arrived at the soiree.
With the wig.
With the wig, correct. This figure starts to walk backwards towards you. I will need a power roll, please.
Oh no!
With a bonus die.
Oh, thank God for
yeah,
that.
Bonus die, and that's because you have your friend, the captain, with you. Friend quotations, we're not sure.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it doesn't do me any good. I rolled a 9 on my bonus die, and I'd already rolled 94.
Okay.
So it's a failure of 94 versus 65. Oh no.
Okay. So this figure, it comes and walks fairly quickly, picks up the pace, still walking backwards, and seems to move through you. And you feel like this presence has almost like violated your being, and I will need a sanity roll.
Oh, the wig walker. That's a success, 49 versus 63.
Okay, take 1 sanity.
And does the wig walker keep going? Does he stop near us, or
He keeps going, and if you turn to look at him, he has turned his back again towards you. So you can't see the front.
oh right. And so okay.
So now he's
I
walking
will.
forwards, but in the same direction he was
Yeah,
headed.
yeah, but always with his back to me.
Yes.
I will say to the captain, I'll say, Captain, who is that man with the wig there that has just walked through me? You can't tell me that this is normal, Captain. He just walked through me.
It's fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. He seems a little bit frantic, looking around a bit.
Is he the schoolmaster?
No, that wouldn't be him. No.
I don't. I need you to tell me what's going on, Captain. Maybe I could help. Maybe I could help. I think she's just in like frantic mode now, trying to understand. Maybe I could help. I helped with the wooden lever, and maybe I could help now. But you have to tell me what's going on, Captain. I can't do any of this if you don't tell me what's going on.
Everything is fine. Just it came from a good place. Everything's all right. Here, come this way. And he turns the direction that this man is headed and starts to follow him.
Okay, yeah, I go with, and do not forget that he said it came from a good place. That is something that she definitely heard.
Eventually you continue to follow this being, and the corridor opens up into a mirrored chamber that is glistening in light. You don't see any windows or any illuminating things, no candles, so you're not sure where this light is actually coming from, but it's all around this mirrored chamber. Inside, there is the light kind of starts to morph and turn into tendrils, almost like tentacles that are moving towards the center.
Does it look like they're trying to do anything specific? Is there anything in the center?
Nothing in the center. The captain, it looks like he is trying to decide whether to go forward into this room or stay where he's at right now.
Captain, what are these tentacles here? In these mirrors? What's going on now?
As you feel the energy of these tendrils, I would like you to make another power roll.
Oh, dear. A hard success. That's 30 versus 65.
Okay. So you get the very strong sense that if you want to get out of this situation, that you will need to go forth in this room and let some of this energy wash over you.
Okay, then I will say to the captain, Captain, if you don't tell me what's going on now, I'm going to be walking right out there into those tendrils, unless you've got something to say to me to change my mind.
He just kind of motions towards the center.
Right. Well, I'll do it. I will. If you're not going to stop me, then I will, without a chaperone, walk into the middle of those tentacles.
He doesn't say a word.
If I've had the sense that this is a way for me to get home, there's some shared power or something, if I don't feel completely threatened by it, because he's giving me nothing, so he's as much as a threat as anything else at the moment. And the creepy wig man with his back to me, who keeps appearing and disappearing, is quite scary. So I think I'm going to walk out into the center of this room. All
right. As you head into this room, you feel a very intense wave of energy. And this energy, your brain is almost assaulted by pent-up rage. Like you're feeling a lot of emotion and you're not sure where this emotion is coming from. It's like an instant flip of a switch. You feel this rage and despair. It's almost like people being kind of trapped places and feeling like they're not able to be fully themselves, and it feels incredibly overwhelming. And an image that you get before you're transported is the man who has always had his back turned to you. you see the front of him, and there's just a blank space where his head should be. It's nothing that's there. It's body, no head, and just the wig and the hat. And this man is being arms wide, being ripped apart by these tendrils of light. And suddenly you are transported back into this area in the basement with this large machine.
Oh my word. Does Georgiana kind of put together any of these metaphorical visions? Kind of the man with the wig and the hat being torn apart, perhaps representing elements of class and you know the ton essentially, or previous generations. Does she start to put some of this stuff together? And her feeling
So you get a sense that the purpose or the intent behind the captain's actions was to control and change the views of people in society. The suffering and the different images that you are experiencing is those have been controlled by this machine that get trapped. So there are occasions where these people will get trapped into the machine.
Right.
So that it's a little bit of the suffering from those people. You do wake up in this hall and notice that Mademoiselle Dumaine, who was the one helping you with the levers, she is found huddling in a corner.
Oh no. Is she okay?
She seems okay. She seems shaken, but she seems physically fine.
I'll put an arm around her and try and pull her up and it's all right now, it's okay. Let's get you upstairs, shall we? And perhaps you'll have a glass of something and make sure you're okay.
My life's work, it's gone now.
What? What do you mean?
The machine. And you see that before it was kind of pulsating and had this energy around it. It's no longer making noise, no longer humming, no longer has this presence about the machine.
What happened, Madame? Has it always just been going and it's just stopped now all of a sudden?
It seems to not be working anymore. At that, there's Captain's body is a little bit further away from you. It seems that he is now woken up as well.
I'll take the Mademoiselle over there as well, rather than just leave her after she's in a state, and just say, "Come on, Mademoiselle, let's make sure the captain's okay. He's there, he's there. Captain, are you all right there?"
Oh, Georgiana, I'm so sorry. He gets down on his knees in front of you and like takes your hands in his hands, and he says, "I can't believe I put you through this. I'm so sorry." He seems more like himself. When you guys were in this other reality, it was almost like he was in a trance, not fully there. But he seems to be fully here again.
What did you put me through, Captain? I still need some answers. I'm still not sure. I remember the man with no face, the wig, and the tentacles, and I felt this power rushing through me, and I felt this anger and about this oppression. And then I was here, and Mademoiselle saying that her machine, the levers isn't working anymore.
Yes. Well, perhaps it can be fixed. The oppression, that's what we were trying to change, and having all the members of those in high society here this evening and influencing them with this wondrous machine to open up their views and their mind of what could truly be if we were all equal. That was my only goal. And I didn't know it would, it kind of got out of hand, the machine. It was becoming hard to control. And when you came in here and I had you help, I didn't realize it would shift us into wherever we were. I don't really know, but I'm so sorry.
I still don't understand. I mean, did you have Lord Cosgrove killed?
I he was he would have ruined it. I'm sorry. It would have been ruined.
Have you killed other people?
No.
Are the bodies still on the floor, like the scruffy looking gentleman
Yes,
with the beard? And do they appear dead or?
they appear dead.
Captain, what about them?
I don't know how this happened. Ugh. He's trying to keep it together.
And does he look genuine, like he doesn't really know?
Yes, he looks genuine.
I don't know what to say, Captain. I think perhaps.
Just please forgive me. I'm so sorry. My affection for you, it's undeniable. I would like you in my life. He's looking at you with like pleading eyes.
Captain, if you would like me in your life, there are some things that are going to need to change. You understand?
Yes, of course.
And you can't be playing silly buggers with all this stuff again now, can you?
No, we'll do it. We'll do it a different way.
But we'll do it and we'll make change.
Yes, we will make change. We will make change together.
Then I suppose we'd better go and rejoin the party and raise a glass to a better world.
Most excellent. Most excellent. And he takes your hand and gives you a kiss on the hand. You both reconvene upstairs, and there seems to be quite a lot of chaos. You're not quite sure what happened at the party, but there is general sense of confusion and people trying to just get out of the building so that their reputations aren't damaged in any sort of way. And I think that's a great place to end.
Oh my word.
That, my friends, was Loom and Lucidity.
Wow. Do you know what? I think, thank you, Leslie. That's
Yeah.
actually amazing. Thank you. I really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed that.
Super fun.
I was just thinking then at the end, that is such a unique place to be put in as an investigator, by a keeper and obviously by the author, SR Sellens, in terms of that. Hang on a minute, they are trying to fight a society old battle, and I was expecting to go down there and have this thing and see people being brainwashed and have to like go and get swords from the fireplace and fight people. But actually it's I don't know, it's a very positive Lovecraftian tale of, well, societal terror, isn't it? And you're a part of the terror because you're a part of the ton. You're a part of the, oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
I think as a teacher who teaches about the Industrial Revolution and how that's affected society, this is this is definitely in my ballpark, and I wasn't expecting it. When it happened, I just kind of was like, wow, okay, that's really cool.
It's really cool. Yeah, Captain King, I was so conflicted about because their motives are so pure and like what they believe in and how they're trying to make an impact, but obviously the way that they're approaching it might not be the correct route.
That amazing. Thank you, Leslie. Really great scenario.
Yes, it was awesome playing with you.
Thank you. I know I really enjoyed it. I'm very spoiled, actually, one-to-one session with you, so that's actually amazing. If you've been listening to this, please check out Host and Hostility by SR Sellens. Thank you for listening to the Miskatonic Playhouse. If you like what we're doing, you know that you can subscribe to our coffee page. Buy us a coffee. That's ko-fi / Miskatonicplayhouse.com. And yeah, for as little